All right, how we doing? All right, yeah, 5 of you guys up and to the left up there, yep. Sit anywhere you can. We do switch sides on the way back.
Before we depart Blue Ridge, I wanted to show you this plaque that they had inside of the train car. It depicts the history of the car, and it's actually pretty interesting, so I recommend you pause and read it, and I'll give you some time now.
Coming up on the Taccoa River, just on the other side of the steel's right over here. We come up right next to it. You'll be able to get some nice pictures of it. But this is a 93-mile long river. It's formed by the confluence of 2 little creeks way up in the mountains east of Blue Ridge. And it flows around 93 miles along its course. It goes through Blue Ridge Lake. So there's a dam up here, about 5 river miles upstream up the river there. And that dam is controlled by the TVA, that's the Tennessee Valley Authority. So they release water, hold back water. Earlier today, this morning, they were holding the water back, so they were running it low. And then this afternoon on the return trip, they were running it high. I can't really see where it's at yet, but it looks like it's low again.
Hey, buddy. Come on through. No,
yeah, it's back low again. So it was low this morning, and then they released some water, and now it's low again. Usually, that rock right there, if they're running water, that rock is about a foot underwater. But this is very popular river with fishing. the state of Georgia, they release rainbow and brown trout in this river. The problem is, if you did bring your fly rod with you this weekend, you're looking to get out and catch some trout, the problem is access. There's not a whole lot of public access, as you can tell. There's a lot of houses on both sides of the river here. You can't really walk through someone's backyard. You'd be trespassing. You got to rely on just a handful of places where you can access the river publicly. But we passed a couple of them. I'll point them out to you guys as we go through. This river is also popular with kayaking, tubers, people out swimming, especially during the summer, when they're holding the water back and they're not releasing anything like it is right now. If the water's not that cold, it's a little brisk, but it's not as cold as you would think. It heats up pretty good during the day when the sun's up high. When they're running the water, that water is cold. It comes from the very bottom of the lake, and so that's the coldest water in the lake. As the announcement said, the river changes name when it flows into Tennessee. Right now it's known as the Taccoa River, Toccoa. But when it goes into Tennessee, it becomes the Ocoee River. That's Ocoee. And not only does the name change when it gets to Tennessee, but the river itself kind of changes also. So right now it's kind of a slow, meandering type river. Nice place to kind of tube down and kind of relax and everything. But when it goes into Tennessee, it becomes a very rough and tumble whitewater river. It goes into a little mountain gorge. And that portion of the river was where they held the kayaking and whitewater events during the 1996 Olympics. This area here we're going through is called Curtis Switch. It's a little community. There used to be a town on the other side of the river there called Curtis, and then there used to be a little sidetrack right here. And that's why it's named Curtis Switch. And so sidetracks were really important back when there was a lot of rail traffic on this line. There's not anymore. It's pretty much just us. But back in the day, there was a lot of rail traffic, freight and passenger. And so anytime you had a sidetrack, it was very important because you'd inevitably have two trains coming up on one another, one going north, one going south, and one of them would just kind of pull over into the sidetrack and let the other one pass. Everybody wave, hey! Yeah, they're waving, but they're secretly cursing us right now. Probably locals that get stopped by the train this time of day every day. Ah, it's stinking train. Alright, so this is Curtis Switch right here. That iron bridge that you see right across over there, that bridge was built and put there in 1897. It's been there for a long time. And you can see how narrow it is. Of course, that predates automobiles. It was pretty much a walking or a horse and buggy type bridge. It allowed people from the town of Curtis to cross the river because right over here, right here on the mountainside, there used to be a depot right where that little shed is at. And you can catch the train right there at that depot for 15 cents. You can get a ride to either Copperhill or a ride to Blue Ridge, depending on which way the train was going. and it was what was known as a flag stop or a whistle stop. And so they would have a little flag. If you needed to catch the train, you could put that flag out, and it would let the engineer on the train know that someone needed to catch the train. So if he's cruising down the track, coming up on the depot, and he saw that flag, he'd know to stop. And then if there wasn't a flag, he'd keep on rolling. What they do is they get upstream of that, they get a whole big line of them upstream, and they kind of wade downstream, and it would force the fish into that little bottleneck. And then they'd have other people on the top of the rocks right there with either baskets or nets, and they'd kind of scoop up a bunch of fish all at once. So it's a really ingenious method of coming up catching a bunch of fish in a very easy and short period of time. Looking for something to do, you want to get out and stretch your legs a little bit. You can hike to the top of Big Frog. You can't see anything from the top of it. There's no good overlooks. And with the leaves and everything being out on the trees, you don't really get any kind of good wintertime view. But you can at least say, hey, I'm hiking to the top of Big Frog Mountain. And the name of that mountain comes from the Cherokees. They had their own word for it, but it translated into English as Big Frog. And the reason for that is because it kind of floats up on the south and north sides of the mountain, and then kind of flattens out of the top. Okay, yeah, I don't think we're getting cooperation from our cloud. Oh, yeah, we are. There it is. There it is off in the distance there. Unfortunately, there's a big cell phone tower right in the way. But then they got apps now that I can remove that sort of thing. But that is, I always try to say this because it really thoroughly confuses everyone. That's if you were to travel across the United States in a straight west direction, that is the last 4,000-foot mountain that you would encounter until you got to either West Texas or the Black Hills of South Dakota. So it's the last 4,000-foot mountain in the eastern United States going in a western direction. That's about as confusing as it gets. But this is McKaysville, and then, like I said, up the road just a half block or so is Copperhill, 2 towns in one. State line runs right through the middle of town, and makes it 2 towns. Being close to Blue Ridge helps. Blue Ridge is basically becoming a mountain suburb of Atlanta. Yeah, seriously. So we get a lot of overflow from Blue Ridge also. Can't remember if I mentioned this to you guys on the ride up or if it was the morning train. I think it was the morning train. If I didn't mention it to you guys, then, well, shoot, I'm going to mention it to you again. So I know I talked about the mile marker signs on the mountain side of the train. On the river side of the train, one thing that you can see are telegraph poles. And so these are little poles that are kind of scattered in with the trees. They look just like a regular telephone pole you'd see today, except they're a lot smaller, they're a lot older looking, and they don't have any kind of wiring going from the pole anymore. But this is pretty common on the old rail lines like this. This rail line's 130 some odd years old. And so you see that on these older rail lines, remnants of telegraph poles. And that's how rail stations, depots would communicate with one another. And that's how they would coordinate the traffic on these rail lines. The other thing you'll see are whistle posts. And you'll see these on both sides of the track. These are just little posts, have a little square sign on them. We'll be coming up on one of them right here in just a second. Yeah! But these are little signs, they've got a little W on them. And they let the engineer know that it's time to start blowing his horn sequence. And so if you've noticed, there's 4 horn blasts that the engineer blows every time he comes up to a road crossing. And it actually started on ships. So anytime a ship was carrying the Queen of England on board and it was coming into port, it would blow a long, long, short, long horn blast. So again, if you did bring your fly rod with you and you want to go fly fishing tomorrow, this is one of the places right here. Kind of switch boat ramp where you can access the water. Right here, this is the turn switch road crossing right here. There's a little parking lot right on the other side of the bridge right over there. You can park there and access the river. Really good fishing hole right below the iron bridge right there. Hey, everybody wave! Out different places on top of the hill. Get down to the river.
Oh, yeah.
We are nearing our last view of the Taccoa River. If you missed taking a photo before, now is your chance. Concession car is now closed. your right is the Painter Sisters Farm, and on your left is the Murphy Junction Y.
Yeah, it's a Painter Ornamentals up there on the mountainside. Mr. Painter, his wife, 11 children. So we will be going so this is the last few minutes of our trip. And during this first trip, we have a little tradition we like to do as far as, is anyone having a birthday this weekend? Or has anyone had a birthday in the last couple of days? Or, anyone got one coming up this week? No one? Does anyone have a birthday in January? Or December? No, I'm kidding. I'll put you on some good places. If you're going back home this evening, or tomorrow morning or whatever, safe travels to you. God bless you. You guys, it's been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed having you, and enjoy the rest of your weekend, or the rest of your night, or the rest of your week if you're in town for the entire week. Have a good evening, and happy July 4th to you guys. Also, we will be unloading at the same spot that we loaded from earlier back here in Blue Ridge, so just right up here.